Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So recently I started thinking about the fact that people really seem to like, top 10 videos and stuff like that. And there was one that I was actually wanting to make for a little while now. So I figured I might as well start incorporating some of those videos into my YouTube channel again, just because people enjoy that kind of stuff. And the very first thing that I wanted to start with as far as my new top 10 videos go are my top 10 favorite captives so far. Of course, these are the Jurassic World minifigure captives, and they are phenomenal. If you have not acquired any of those figures yet, you really need to, because they are the best minifigures when it comes to Jurassic that there is in existence when it comes to, the sculpts, the screen accuracy, the paint jobs, everything on those figures are honestly out of this world. I couldn't possibly give a higher recommendation when it comes to minifigures than I can for the Captivz brand. So the very first one, number 10 for me, and this was a really hard list to create, would be this one, and that is the Giganotosaurus. Now, I know not everyone is a fan of the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus, mostly because they don't really like the design. I personally really quite like it. I just think it's very fun. It's got the elements of a Giganotosaurus included, but it also has its own stylized sort of appearance, which makes it really neat. And I feel like when it comes to the Captivz version, they completely knocked this figure out of the park. With most figures in this line, most species in this line, you get numerous different repaints over time, numerous different versions, but I feel like this version here specifically is my favorite overall, because I feel like it just captures the look of the version from Dominion nearly perfectly. There is also this one, which is a close second. As you can see, you've got more of like the greenish color on this one, but I feel like the Dominion Giga does always have more of a grayish tone to it, more so than green, which is why I feel like that's the best version. But again, you've had numerous different repaints and everything past this point. This is one of the figures that also did get the supersized treatment, which you can see. So again, if you take your pick honestly between any of these Giganotosaurus, whether it be the supersized version or any of these two, I would say that's my number 10, is just basically the Giganotosaurus itself. And you can choose whatever version you want. I think I would probably lean most toward this one, but honestly, all of them are fantastic. For number 9, it's got to be this one, the Mechanical Arm Baryonyx, because I don't know if he's going to stand. Yeah, kind of. Because this one was such a really cool dinosaur that I feel like did not have nearly enough actual screen time in Jurassic World Dominion. I really feel like it was so cool and so different. They really should have paid a little more attention to it, given it just a little bit more of a spotlight in the film. And it's a dinosaur that honestly nobody has really made outside of the Captivz brand. Mattel didn't capitalize on this, and they really should have. We never had any sort of Mechanical Arm Baryonyx from Mattel, which was honestly a massive missed opportunity. And just like with the Giganotosaurus, Captivz also released this in a supersized version, which you can see. And again, I don't know which one I would say I prefer more. I would say probably the supersized version of this one specifically, but just in general, again, the Mechanical Arm Baryonyx would be my number 9 favorite when it comes to the Captivz brand, because like I said, it's just such a cool Baryonyx, and I absolutely think that the Captivz line knocked this one out of the park in every way. Just an incredible figure all around. Number 8 may be surprising to some, and maybe some people won't agree with me, but it has got to be the Corythosaurus. So this is the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary Corythosaurus, and I adore this figure. Let's move it just a little bit closer. But I adore this figure. I think it is such a really nice representation of that Jurassic Park style Corythosaurus. And just in general, I feel like the Corythosaurus is one of the dinosaurs that has got the least amount of attention from Jurassic Park. Like, you see so many other figures and everything made for so many other dinosaurs, even including the Parasaurolophus, but you really don't see much love for the Corythosaurus, which is pretty sad. So very happy to see that they created a figure, again, a nice tribute to this dinosaur from the film. It's also one of my favorite hadrosaurs, so I'm a big fan of it just based on that alone. And I feel like, again, it is an absolutely incredible version of this dinosaur. Number 7 is probably being viewed through biased eyes, but I've got to pick the Ceratosaurus, which is actually part of the newest wave, as of this video, of the Captivz line. Again, the Chaos Theory Captivz. And just because I absolutely love the Jurassic Park 3 Ceratosaurus, it is one of my favorite dinosaurs from the franchise overall. It's another dinosaur similar to the Corythosaurus that doesn't get nearly enough love. And again, I feel like they did such a great job on their figure. And as always, the paint apps are so high quality for something like this. It's just always amazing to me how high quality and how impressive these figures are for the size. So absolutely needed to get this Ceratosaurus on the list. Number 6 is this one. It is the Ankylosaurus, specifically the supersized Ankylosaurus for the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary, because we've got the JP3 Ankylosaurus. So this is one of the few, when it comes to the supersized figures, that actually did not have a mainline version of it. They kind of skipped this when it comes to this exact sculpt in the main line, and only give us the supersized version, but I feel like it is absolutely one of the best interpretations of the Jurassic Park 3 Ankylosaurus out anywhere, even matching the colors really quite nicely. So I definitely needed this one on my list, and I felt like number 6 is pretty much the perfect spot for it. Number 5 is the Compsognathus, because why wouldn't I have the Compy on this list? When it comes to the Compy, it's probably one of the most popular, or at the very least most memorable dinosaurs, of course from the Lost World Jurassic Park, but from the Jurassic Park franchise overall. It's also one of the dinosaurs that has appeared in so many movies in the franchise, but you still don't see it really get a whole lot of love. And you know, when you look at Mattel, like, they've really only given us a few kind of like smaller, goofier, rubbery versions, as opposed to a more high quality version. But I was just so over the moon excited when they had revealed this, when they were going to be releasing a copy. We've had a few different paint variants of this over time, and it's just one of my favorites and always has been since its release. So had to show the Compsognathus a little love with this top 10. The next one might be another one that's kind of surprising, but it's got to be Ankylosaurus Bumpy. Now, this is the first release of Ankylosaurus Bumpy. There were actually 2, well, actually more than that, technically, if you count the adult version, but when it comes to the baby version of Bumpy, there were 2. But the first version, in my opinion, is definitely the superior of the 2. I feel like the paint apps were so on point. The sculpt, the entire style of skin texture, the appearance, everything was so picture perfect. And again, this is far and away my favorite Ankylosaurus Bumpy that has released from anyone so far. Definitely a home run when it comes to this version from the Captivz line. Number 3 is the Dimetrodon. I almost feel like if you know me, you knew this one was coming. The Dimetrodon is one of my favorite species of all time. Ever since I was a child, I was just such a huge fan of that species. And I feel like when it comes to the Jurassic World Dominion version of the Dimetrodon, I don't think anybody has done better than the Captivz line has with this version. Now, I did bring in 2 different color variants of this one, because even though I would say that the Dominion version is my favorite, I really do love this version as well. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is something happened between the earlier, the first release compared to this one, with the sail area here looks kind of awkward compared to the first version where it looks a lot smoother. I don't know what happened there, but I feel like the colors of this one are really nice, especially in the sail. However, when it comes to the Dominion version, again, that is about as spot on as it gets. And yet again, they did a great job on the paint apps for a minifigure. Again, it's just super high quality. Number 2 has numerous different paint variants out as well, and honestly, you can choose any paint variant that they've released, so I didn't pick this one out based on the color of this one, even though it is a really nice color variant, but it is the Gallimimus. So When it comes to a Jurassic Park style Gallimimus, that's the best one that I've seen so far on the market. You know, Mattel has released some fun ones, but I feel like they haven't actually released any Gallimimus that perfectly portrays the Jurassic Park style Gallimimus. Captivz absolutely did. They nailed this in every way. It's got everything that I like to see. Even the paint apps, again, give it that Jurassic Park look on this particular version, but far and away one of the best figures that they have released. Now, as I said earlier, this has got to be one of the hardest top 10 lists to make because there's just so many amazing figures in the Captivz line. It took me a long time to actually pick these figures out, but I did want to give a shout out to 4 others that just barely missed my list. One of which is the Pyroraptor, because the Pyroraptor is definitely the, in my opinion, best version of the Pyroraptor from Jurassic World Dominion on the market. You know, when it comes to the sculpt, the paint, everything is picture perfect in my opinion on this one, and definitely resembles the Jurassic World Dominion Pyroraptor perfectly. We also have the supersized Dilophosaurus. Now this one is definitely another of my favorites because it's just got like that perfect look to it when it comes to the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus. The paint isn't that great on it, but the sculpt is fantastic. The only thing I would have changed would be to have the mouth open because the frills extended, so obviously I would want to have more of like that vicious sort of like intimidating display with the mouth open, and we chose to go with the mouth closed, which is probably one of the very few reasons this one didn't make the list, but it was very, very close. There is also the Monolophosaurus, because how could I say no to this one? Such an amazing species, and again, they did such a good job on this figure. The sculpt is absolutely incredible. Far and away one of my favorites from the line. And the final one, as far as the honorable mentions go, has got to be this, which is the Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosaurus. Again, the sculpt of their Brachiosaurus is unbelievably nicely done, and the fact that they actually did go ahead and give it those Jurassic Park 3 colors, which in my opinion is a fairly iconic look for this Brachiosaurus that, as per usual, nobody seems to give any love to. So I absolutely needed to, again, with this top 10. Even if it didn't make the actual list, it just had to get a mention. But my number one figure from the Captivz line is the Lystrosaurus, because wow, what an incredible species choice from the Captivz line. I feel like, again, absolutely incredible looking figure, really nice, very impressive paint apps. The sculpt is fantastic, also looks just about as perfect as it gets when it comes to that Jurassic World Dominion look, and again is one of the most surprising entries I think into the Captivz line so far. I was not expecting a Lystrosaurus to end up in the line. I'm so happy that it did because it is my favorite as of right now from the Captivz line overall. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on my list, and again, if you would change anything, I'm sure you guys would probably have a very different list than mine, because some are probably more so based on just being biased over my favorite species. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course, so leave your comments down below and like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.